swear, if I start to make a video, the cats have to use the litter box. You just get down in there. Okay, so over the weekend we took our goats to the sale. And we took 8 of them there, and we kept 7. It was kind of sad to have to part with them. But in the long run, it's going to be so much nicer because it's going to be a lot less work to take care of them and all of that. But anyway, as you can see here, they were a whole lot easier to load up than the pigs were.
Oops, better not leave that open. Blossom will be out.
They just all hopped right up into that trailer, and the hardest part was dragging all the ones off we wanted to keep, because once the whole herd started running in there, they all wanted to go. So anyway, we got them loaded up and we got them to the sale, and you know, they sold pretty good and we were pretty happy with what we got out of them. So the reason we sold the ones that we did is because some of them were actually hard for the kids and I to work with. They were, like Elsa, the half-boar goat that we had, the really big one. She was really strong, and so when it came to like trying to medicate her, give her wormer, or trim her hooves, or anything like that, it was really, really hard for the kids and I to do it. We struggled, and so we usually had to wait for Michael to help us with her. And there's a couple others like that too. And well, we would go ahead and take care of all the goats that we could take care of, and then when Michael had a chance to come out and help us, we would either forget or we just wouldn't get it done. So basically what it worked out to is half of our herd was getting taken care of good and the other half wasn't. And so I just decided to go ahead and get rid of all the goats the kids and I couldn't handle taking care of ourselves. And so it's actually kind of nice because now instead of having to trim 60 hooves, we only have to trim 28. And then the other goats that we sold, which I think were 4 in that group, they were the kids from the spring. We got a whole lot of bucks this year, and so we weathered them and we sold them. We always do that every year anyway, and then whenever we sell them in the fall, then that helps pay for our animal feed through the winter. Now on to why we don't like to keep a lot of animals through the winter. There's basically 2 reasons. The first reason is because I don't like to take care of animals when it's really, really cold out. And I'll explain more about that in a minute. And the second reason is because financially it works out a whole lot better for us to grow our animals through spring, summer, and then downsize in the fall. Okay, so I'm going to take you way back to the beginning when we first got our animals. Okay, the very first winter we were here, we actually moved here in November, and so we spent that winter getting our house set up and everything and settled in and all of that. And then that spring, we ended up getting our first chickens. And we put in a large garden. And also that year we got 2 turkeys to raise up for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Well, that fall we ended up buying a couple of goats from our neighbors down the road. So that first winter that we had animals, it was a really mild winter, and it was very easy to take care of the 2 goats that we had and the chickens. I mean, it was a pretty uneventful winter, and so I thought, wow, this is pretty easy. And so that spring we ended up having our first kids. We got some more chicks. We decided to go ahead and grow some meat birds too, so we got those. And then we also expanded the garden. And then through that year, we were also discussing various options of different meat that we would like to grow. And so we had the opportunity to get a pig. And so we decided, yeah, we'll go ahead and get a pig. And it was probably the middle of the summer when we got him. He was a cute one, too, as you see here. And so by that fall, we were considering possibly getting some meat goats. And so when it was time to take our goat kits to auction, we came back with 3 boar goats. And then later on that fall, we had the opportunity to get 2 more pigs. And so we went ahead and got them. And so that winter with all those animals was a real humdinger, let me tell you. There would be weeks of freezing temperatures non-stop to where it wouldn't even get warm enough to thaw anything out. And then on top of that, we had a blizzard. In fact, we had several snowstorms that year. As you know, we have our 2 tanks. We have 1 tank by the barn, and then we have 1 tank up where we keep our pigs out behind the barn. Okay, well, we decided, since the pigs were out there, that we had to keep that tank thawed so that way we could give them water. And we also wanted to keep the tank up by the barn thawed out for the goats. Well, unfortunately, our barn wiring couldn't handle running both of the de-icers at the same time. So we had to make a choice over which one we wanted to run. So we chose the one out by the pigs because I didn't want to have to carry water clear out there every day for them. So anyway, we put the goats out there by the pigs in that shelter where the turkeys are living now. And actually that shelter works awesome for goats. In fact, I wish that shelter was closer up to our house, because if it was, I'd definitely be using that for the goats all the time. But anyway, so that winter we had all of our goats located clear out there behind the barn. So when it snowed and it was really, really freezing, I had to go clear out there to take care of them all the time. We didn't have any really good way to keep water thawed for the pigs. And so our method was that we went out there and we would dip water out of the tank and pour it into tubs. We had basically like rubber tubs for the pigs' water. We had a couple of them. And so basically in the morning when I go out to do chores, I would just take the bucket and I'd dip water out of the tank and put it in there. Well, when it was really, really, really cold, it wouldn't take any time at all for that water to freeze up again. So I couldn't just put some out for the day and call it good. I'd have to go out there at least 3 or 4 times a day during the coldest time of the winter and give the pigs water every day. And it really stunk, let me tell you. It really stunk. And in literally more than just one way, too. And then on top of those freezing cold temperatures, like I said before, we had a blizzard, and oh, that blizzard was awful. Michael was gone. He actually hauled pigs during that time, so he was away over the road, and so it was just the kids and I at home, and that blizzard came in. And so luckily, Dylan was going to college and still living here at home, and so he was able to go out and, you know, help me dig out a pathway out to the animals. But he would take the tractor out there and he would dig a big pathway in the morning. And then by the time I'd have to go back out there to give the pigs water, the whole entire thing would be blown shut again and he'd have to dig it out again for me. It was crazy. It was horrible, and I was so done with winter and so over taking care of any animals during the winter. And in fact, I still am. I dread winter. So anyway, we learned our lesson on that one. And so ever since then, I've always made a point to get the animals downsized as small as possible so that way we don't have that problem again. Now on to the second reason why we like to downsize all of our animals in the winter, and that is because it works out so much better for us financially. Because since that time, Michael has gotten a different job. He works for the local co-op here, hauling anhydrous and liquid fertilizer. Okay, well, in the springtime, that's a super busy time for him. And then his job kind of levels out through the summer, and then he has another busy spurt in the fall. Okay, well then in the winter time it completely dies off. So it makes more sense for us to grow as much food as possible through the spring, summer, and then get it, and then wind it down and get it stockpiled for the winter. Because then that way we don't have so many groceries to buy and all of that through the winter. And it works really well to do that. And so that's why we like to downsize our animals as much as possible. And also we homeschool, and so through the winter time when we're stuck inside and can't go out and all that, we use that time to focus in more on doing schoolwork and stuff like that. And so, yeah. And we also just like to be lazy. We sleep in during the winter, we just relax, and it's just kind of nice. And then by spring, I'm usually bouncing off the walls from being stuck inside so much and ready to do it all over again. So anyway, that's basically why we do not keep animals through the winter.